Welcome, friends and family, to episode 18. Today we are working on this piece called Unorganized Thoughts. I got the idea when we were loading up our storage unit. I don't know if you guys have ever used a storage unit, but the ones we use are deep, but then they are also really tall in the back. So one night we were loading up our storage unit and we were stacking the dining table chairs in the very back, and it looked so scary. If there was an earthquake, it would all have tumbled down. So anyway, it inspired me for this piece to have some oddly stacked chairs, and that's as far as I got starting to plan this piece, was just stacking some chairs. And there have been a few ideas where I have thought of using inanimate objects, but I'm a portrait photographer, so I've got to incorporate a portrait with this somehow. So that's when I decided to add me sitting on the edge really awkwardly. It looks really uncomfortable, but that's what I decided to do for this piece. Cutting out the chair here, I think I finally figured out my favorite way to cut things out. If you've watched my other pieces, you know this is the part that I really don't like doing. So what I do is if I have a steady enough hand, I use the lasso tool. When I have the oh my goodness, it has still left my mind. Oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, the tool that I always use when I cut an object out. Oh, the layer mask. There it was. Okay. I use the layer mask, and I use a lasso tool, and I feather it at 0.1 or maybe a full point. I can't remember. And then I fill it with black, my foreground color, so that it hides that, so that I can cut it out. And then usually I apply that layer mask so it's cut out. And the reason I use the layer mask is in case I do cut away too much, I can easily just switch back and use a white paintbrush and add that back in there if I cut too much away, and that way it's not permanently erased forever. So I decided to, instead of use the original room that I was shooting in, I decided to create my own room, and I love doing this with just stock photos. I have some of my favorite websites that offer free stock photos. So what did I use? Perspective on the floor, so that it had the angle that was similar to what it would have really been, shooting from the angle that I was at. And then picked my favorite wallpaper, and I used to have a baseboard that I would shoot a picture of, and getting a new computer, I've kind of misplaced some of my files, so I just got another stock photo and did it that way. And this chair that you just saw, oh my word, I've used it before in pictures, and so monotonous, but so worth it to sit and erase all those holes on the back of that chair. Oh my word, that took at least a half hour. I can't say for sure, but yeah, I think it was at least maybe 45 minutes to sit and cut all those holes out. And I am grateful that they were just holes. That made it really simple just to go through with a round brush instead of an Oz square or some other weird shape that it could have been. So I was grateful it was round. And I have loved creating the hair in my pieces, and I had to create a new brush. I just do a 500 by 500 pixel and add some dots and create a brush, and then make sure the opacity is lower and start adding similar colors. And then I also love to use the smudge tool to add like wispy hair at the ends. Makes it look really nice, I think. And here in Lightroom, we're just adding the vignetting and shadows and highlights and just making this picture really pop. And I went in and added a little bit more red and more saturation to the hair, and I'm smoothing and lightening up the skin. Just making this picture really pop, and it was a lot of fun to create, you guys. So thank you so much for joining me this week, and I can't wait to see you guys next week. Bye!